distant lovers no more.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, the Boss Lady, and I have the Diva, my co-host, in the studio with me today. Happy Saturday. We haven't been here in a minute, so it's kind of feeling a little weird, but we are glad to be back, and we're glad that you are tuning in to us today. On today, we have retired NBA player from the Chicago Bulls, shoot lights out, three-point shooter, boys basketball head coach at Rich East, author of Long Shot, The Struggles and Triumphs of an NBA Freedom Fighter. Coming back, we welcome him back, Craig Hodges. He will be in the second segment of our show today. But we're going to start out talking about what Divas got going on. We have the Pretty in Pink coming up. We have feeding the women at Deborah's Place, which is something we do every year for the holiday. But my co-host here is going to talk more about that as we get into our show. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am fabulous.
You look fabulous.
Thank you.
I love
tried.
the shirt that you have on today. Stand up so they can see. Divas. The Diva have on one of our Divas shirt, which is beautiful. We definitely got to be out there and sharing our brand.
I love your shirt too.
I love my shirt too. How to love a black man.
A black man.
Matter of fact, let's talk a little bit about that and how that went when we had it over at the Salvation Army.
Salvation Army Freedom Center. That was a collaboration with the J Spot.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay. Shout out. Catch them on Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. And I promise you, you will be delighted. All right. Well, how to love a black man. We came up with this concept, me and Jay, because we want to show love to our black men. A lot of black men are misunderstood,
yes,
misrepresented, all of the above. The world, are just really tearing our black men down. And especially with a lot of this black on black crime that's going on. Women, we need to understand that if we have a good man, then this only works with the good men. We have to work on these men that need to catch up with what's going on. But when you have a good man, a good provider, a good supporter, someone who is leading you the correct way, we got to learn how to love these men and support them. Even the ones that are not really on track, we got to find out how to love them so we can bring them back into track.
I agree. Now, is this something that we want to take on the road?
Oh, it is going on the road. It is going on the road. The objective of this is to build a better black family unit. Because if you have a better black family unit, you will have a better black community.
Exactly. And very strong, educated young people.
Yes.
As well, children, when the family structure is well put together. Agree?
Agreed.
All righty. So what does Divas Inc. has going on for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year and for today, as you already know, developing intellectual visions and self, Divas Inc., we always have a busy schedule on Saturdays.
Yes.
A lot of work and a lot of play all day, every day. Well, after the show this morning, this Diva will be supporting Feed the Block, sponsored by the Inspirational Delivery Center Fresh Start Youth Group. Now, this is a youth group of a church, and these young people in this group came up with this idea with getting the church more involved with their community. These young guys and female and girls are the ages of 11 to like 21, and they saw a need in their church to show the community what this church has to offer for them, and that way they can bring more young people into the church.
Awesome.
So this afternoon from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., they're offering Feed the Block. And what this is, they will be giving away free food, free clothing, school clothing, or whatever clothing for the youth. They will have music, youth activities, book bags filled with school supplies. There will be a Chicago caravan. There will be supplying and giving free immunizations. So parents, if you're in that neighborhood, Come out with your children, bring your worker shots, and they can get their shots there. Also, Chicago Fire Department will be on hand for safety. And today from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., 647 North Park Side in the church parking lot. If you live in that area, please come out and see what your community church is all about. Please join Divas Inc. for their monthly workshop this afternoon from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Our topic is Teens with Money. Today's objective is to teach our participants on how to establish good money management habits, prepare them now so they don't have to pay later.
Yes.
If someone had taught me that, I would be a millionaire right about now.
Still not too late.
It's not too late. We will discuss their financial future, keeping track of their money, budgeting, needs versus wants, and that's important. I still struggle with that because I let my wants take over my needs. Basic needs to survive, and to have more money in your pocket. So we're going to teach them about their best friend, which in this case is your bank account. That should be your best friend.
Right.
The more money you have, the more friendlier. Managing credit and debit wisely, saving and investing, and then showing them different types of investments. The location of this workshop is the Charles M. Hughes Community Center, 646 North Parkside. We have several upcoming events to take this year out. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
You got your pink dress?
Oh, it's in the making, baby. It is in the making. It is in the making. You know, I can't share that. You know, it's always a surprise. It might be something big. It might be something little, tight, loose, short, long. Who knows?
Just presentable.
I might even have some pink wings. Who knows?
Or pink hair.
It's already almost there. Breast cancer awareness. You may be aware that in the U.S., a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer every 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yes, and breast cancer affects 1 out of 8 women in the world. And not to leave the men out, for men, the lifetime risk of getting breast cancer is about 1 in 1,000. Which is why this touches all of us, because it affects all of us. If it hasn't affected you yet, it has probably affected someone in your family. Yet people are not fully educated about this disease, and that is why developing intellectual visions and self, Divas Inc. feels compelled to do something to bring us one step closer to educating as many as we can about early detection of this deadly disease. While we cannot do anything about the past, Divas' objective is to make a difference in the future. So we're hosting our 5th annual Pretty in Pink Saturday, October 29th, 2016 from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Crystal Sky Banquets located at 7941 West 47th Street in McCook, Illinois. Now, if you don't know where McCook is at, it's right down the street from the North Riverside Mall.
I tell you, you will not be disappointed. I mean, to think that we have been doing this for 5 years. When I look back or think back when we first started, the first event that we did, we actually did it on the west side of Chicago, and we did everything ourselves, from decorating,
the
food, and I tell you, we had a great time, and we had a huge support and following just in the first year, and it was a lot of work. I mean, to the point where we had to go into the ladies' room to change our clothing right before the event. So we had decided after that, okay, this is something that looks like it's going to be very successful. We will inform and educate our people in regards to it. We would just share what is very important, because honestly, in our family, we have a couple of members who have experienced it. So it is very dear to our hearts. I am the MC for that night, so I am the one,
of course,
the boss lady, to keep things flowing for the night. So there's a lot of excitement. We have entertainment. The food is great. The service, the banquet servers that we have. We were at this facility last year, and they did an amazing
Yes, they
job for
did.
us, and we're coming back. We are back. I mean, 5 years later, it's still going strong, and it continues to grow. And we thank you, and we thank you so much for your support, because if we didn't have the support from family, from friends and co-workers, and from the community, we could not do this year after year. And what I love the most is, I want you to touch on the award that we
If you would
give.
let me get
Okay, I'm
through my
sorry.
segment,
I get so
would. I
excited
know. I
about
know.
this event.
Calm down. Calm down.
I can't help it.
Tickets are on sale now, and they can be purchased through the following. You can go to ebright.com and search for Pretty in Pink Affair. If you have a Facebook page, you could go on and enter your events and search for Pretty in Pink and purchase tickets there. You can contact your local diva. You can visit our website, divas-inc.org, and pay for your tickets through PayPal. Just remember, you cannot pay at the door. This is not that type of event. There will be a 3-course meal, raffles, entertainment, and a night of celebrating survivors. And that's
Yes.
basically what it is really all about, is being a type of support for these women that are going through breast cancer. This is not just talking with my cousins. This is not a easy situation. Okay. It really isn't. The things that they're going through, the chemo, the radiation,
Yes.
you know, just the things that they're going through, especially if they have to have the surgery to remove their breast. That really does something to a woman. That takes a lot of their self-esteem
Yes.
down totally. So we just want to celebrate them and let them know that they are loved, wanted, and needed. Now, Madeline, the boss lady, was talking about the Rachel Rankin Pretty in Pink Breast Cancer Award. Rachel Rankins is my grandmother, and in the early 70s, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She didn't tell anyone because she was this strong woman and she just dealt with it. So when the family did really find out what was really going on with her, it had spread it. So to, I just found the need to just do that with my grandmother in order to remember her. And because she was a strong woman, she fought alone, basically. Nobody really was there for her because we didn't know what was going on
Right.
with her. And she fought until she couldn't fight anymore. And she worked all that time just to keep a roof over her children and her grandchildren's head.
She was a true leader.
Yes.
Loved her.
Yeah, so that's how the Pretty in Pink breast cancer survivor came out. And that's really how the Pretty in Pink came about. And, just celebrating our cousins and our loved ones and our friends and any other survivor that takes part in this event.
Yes.
Okay, enough of that because I'm getting a little
Emotional.
right here. So we're going to move on. The month of December, our city of Chicago has become known as the murder capital, which is really a shame. Every day, someone is subjected to becoming a victim in some sort of form and fashion of our street violence. The cliche of being at the wrong place at the wrong time really doesn't apply anymore, because how could being in your home, lying in your bed, sitting in your living room, watching your TV, sitting on your porch and enjoying your summer nights, how could that be being in the wrong place at the wrong time? Doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Doesn't. So, and then you want to realize, how does all of the street violence affect women? The mothers, the sisters, the daughters, the cousins, the aunts. Well, Divas Inc., along with Violence Interrupters, has great concern about WGSV. Now, you might want to know what that stands for. Women Against Street Violence. And we have elected a panel of women who have been affected one way or another with street violence. We are encouraging others to come out and be a part of this audience. Let's be a help to those that have encountered street violence, either with their child, a parent, a cousin, a friend, due to someone playing God. And what I mean by that, just this senseless shooting,
Well,
random shooting, or not random, but not,
let me tell you, I was reading a little bit about the violence, and of course, we have seen violence, and week after week, weekend after weekend, we hear about more victims of shootings. And last year alone, it was about two 2,988. 2,988. I'm going to give you the number of shooting victims for this year thus far, and a year is not even over, which was more, and it is 3,000 and about 67 shooting victims. That is a large number in the city of Chicago alone. That is a scary thought to even think that there is that many victims day after day, weekend after weekend. We hear about the violence, and we hear more about the violence instead of hearing more about solutions. So hopefully sooner than later, there will be more talk. I mean, there's been town hall meetings, so on and so forth. You hear about it, but we got to keep talking about it, and we have to find a way to come up with solutions to these problems.
Correct. That's what Divas Inc. is all about. We're about helping our community coming up with solutions to problems.
Definitely. So, what do we have coming up at the end of December?
At the end of December, Deborah's Place. Now, Deborah's Place is one of the oldest and largest provider of housing for women experiencing homelessness in Chicago. Locally and nationally, they're recognized as the leading agent among homeless service providers. Now, Divas finds it a privilege to be partnered with this organization. And for the last 5 years, again, Divas Inc. has provided Christmas dinner to all the participants of Deborah's Place that is located at 2822 West Jackson. They have several sites, but we partnered with the one that's in our community.
Yes.
We're all about helping our community. So on this Tuesday, December 20th, 2016 at 5 p.m., for more details, you could visit our website and stay tuned for more elaborate details. But those are the things that we're doing. And we need volunteers. We need supporters. We need everything.
Well, I'm going to forewarn my family and friends now that I will be reaching out to you very soon, because we need cooks. We need those to serve. We need those to donate. So we cannot do it without your support. Last year, our social group, the Riches, that I'm a part of, came out in full force to help. They donated. I had some friends, Kelly Dow, I appreciate you, and others. My aunt Patricia Jackson, my sister. So I mean, this is a family affair. We pull in all of our resources that we have available, and people come out and really give back. And I tell you, when they cook, they put their hearts and souls in it, and the ladies love it. And we serve almost about 100 ladies each year.
But what I like about it is that these women, regardless of their circumstances, they're so polite. They love us. They enjoy us. And we have interest. Even if you're not even serving, or just come out and sit and get to meet these ladies, you will fall in love with them. They look forward to us coming every year. They have adopted us, and we have adopted them.
One thing I'm going to say, I love to hear their stories, because believe it or not, some of us is just a one paycheck away from being in that same situation that these ladies are. I mean, I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy their spirit. I mean, we have them some of them come up and they sing to us, they praise us, and I mean, just so appreciative. And like I said, some of us are just one paycheck away from ourselves. So be thankful. Be thankful. And once again, we thank you guys for your support. We are going to go to a commercial, and we will be back. So for those of you who are just tuning in, thank you for tuning in to Diva's Den. I am your host, the Boss Lady.
And I am your co-host, the Diva.
And we will be back with retired NBA player for the Chicago Bulls, Craig Hodges, baby, the three-point shooter. See if he still can shoot lights out. We'll be right back.
I wanna let you know you're my special lady. Yeah. And I got a big surprise for you. Can't wait to see the look on your face. You're gonna love it. Oh yeah. Baby, you're gonna love it. Oh yeah. I know that you're gonna love it. Oh yeah. Baby, you're gonna love it. Oh yeah. You gon' love, so baby relax and let your head down, head down. I even got your favorite movie, baby, but we won't be watching it. And you ain't gotta do nothing. The kids at your mama's house. And I got a big surprise for you. Can't wait to see you scream and shout. You're gonna love it. Oh yeah. Baby, you gon' love it. Oh yeah. I know that you gon' love it. Oh yeah. Baby, you gon' love it. Oh yeah. You gon' love it. Baby, tell me what you want, 'cause I got what you need. And baby, if you got the lock, best believe I got the key. Yeah. God made me for you, and I know He made you for me. Somebody. So baby, let me show you how a man is supposed to treat his queen. You gonna love it, baby. You gonna love it. Shawty, you gonna love it. Shawty, I know that you gonna love it. Baby, you gonna love, love. I know that you gonna love, love. I know that you gonna love it, love it. Baby, you gonna love it.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am the host, the boss lady, and
I am your co-host, the Diva. Y'all, I am sitting here next to Craig Hodges, aka Lights Out.
lights out.
It's dark up in here, y'all.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yes, we welcome back retired NBA player from the Chicago Bulls, Craig Hodges, who is currently the boys basketball head coach at Rich East. Full circle. That's
Yes.
actually where Craig started his basketball career, right? At Rich East High School. And so he's going back home to the community to give back to the young men there. I'm sure there is a buzz, definitely, in the South Burg. It's been in the paper. It's being talked about. I know the young men are excited to have you come in. I mean, 3-point shooter, play with the NBA, play with the Bulls, play with I'm going off of memory. I did not know it's Clippers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. See,
Do you
know
still hold that
stuff.
rocker?
I hold a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you hold, man? Show us
Well,
what you
first of
working
all, I
with.
want to thank God for giving us a chance to come across the airwaves. It's divine. So for me, it's a blessing and a privilege to sit with the sisters. But when we look at basketball, I don't really think about the records that much, as opposed to using it as a platform to get to young men, to get them to realize what their potential is. So a lot of times they'll ask me about records. I know some of them. I know the 19 in a row that I hit at All-Star Weekend is a record.
19 in a row.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't
But-
She
Google
knows
that.
nothing about sports.
Oh, it's all
Excuse me.
good. It's all good.
I'm getting better.
It's all good.
But 19 in a row is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know that.
Up until that point, Larry Bird made 11 in a row.
Well, see, you still holding it there.
Yeah. So it's a matter of, but all records are meant to be broken. So
Yes.
somebody, I'm sure, will come
What's
along
the
at some
point
point
is
in time.
they haven't. And how long
Exactly.
you've been out of the game?
It's close to a 25-year record.
And
now.
nobody has broken those records.
No,
Yeah, so
not
I'm gonna
even.
pat you on your
I
back.
appreciate
See, that's
you,
about
sister.
how to love a black man. We got to encourage. We still encouraging
Thank you,
you.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
That's all.
And that's the key to this whole thing is that it's a community effort and getting a chance to go back to my alma mater, getting a chance to get young brothers and sisters to understand the potential of what basketball can bring you from a student athletic end, realizing that you have to be able to pass in your class first, then on the court.
True.
And that's one of the biggest principles I think that we have to work on, not only at Rich East High School, but across the board. Because one of the problems that we have is that our athletes who have potential don't really see the impact and the necessity of getting and being a great student, because that's the only way you ever be recruited. So right now, I'm having a not a battle, but it's just a change of culture, and that the change of culture is one that is a process, and in that process you have to combat with young brothers and their egos about thinking they know how to play already, when in fact we're building a foundation for you to be able to go to college and hopefully get a college degree from the talent that you have, that's God given you, and you don't have to worry about your parents or family having to pay for you to go to school.
Exactly. And being an athlete, it teaches more about discipline and about teamwork,
Right.
right? And how to even interact in the workforce and come together and understand that there is leadership
No question.
too, and teach you how to be a leader. You know, I'm grateful when you touched on college education, and that your parents don't have to pay. That opportunity is out there, and I've been blessed to for my own children to have that opportunity. So I'm looking forward to see what Rich East will do, and how your leadership coming into the school and working with those young men.
Play. I think it also teaches, it should be based on humbling yourself.
No question.
Because in order to be successful, you're going to have to humble first, so that God can keep blessing you with those blessings and talents that He have given you.
And that's key also in being humble. I think it lends itself to listening.
Yes.
And that I ask my players, and basically anyone that I'm working with on a community level, what's the most important skill we possess? And I believe it to be listening. Our ability to listen can only enhance our ability to learn.
Yes, but you have to. What I've learned, and what this young man at work has taught me, to listen and not listen to speak. Because he said, Miss Vicky, you listen to speak. You do not listen to listen. So I have been practicing on listening to listen.
I'm glad of that.
And it's a skill like anything else. It's something that has to be worked on.
Yes, it really does.
I think I've been blessed. I've been blessed to have some great teachers, and in that teaching, that's one of the biggest lessons, is that your ability to listen and being able to, when you do speak about it, that you're speaking from an articulate and a factual base.
I'm kind of upset that nobody taught me that. My mother taught me everything else, but they didn't teach me that.
It happens. It happens. Sometimes we can't teach what we don't know.
That's true.
So it's just a matter of, if someone doesn't know it, it's not no diss on moms at all.
No, I was going to say, Craig, you gonna mess around and get back with this automobile.
No, not
I'm about to take it up there.
Not at all. I'm saying that on different levels.
No, I'm just joking. Yeah. I think because the women in my family were so aggressive and so independent, it was more like you listen to speak.
And the cool part about it, in that, and I think that then takes us right into community development and those solutions that you've been talking about, is that our women have had to take a role within the community to be the mother, the father, the uncle, the sister, and in that role, that has to take a forefront, that it has to be, and it had to be, an independent voice and a strong voice, because most of the time, and not most of the time, but oftentimes the brother wasn't there to be able to be that strong presence in the family. So you had to play the role that you had to play. And I think right now we're at that point where I think our minds are coming back to the natural fact of who we are, and
the reality.
Yes, and that the society is pushing us to a point where unity is critical.
Yes.
And that it's not a matter of an option. And that choice has to be one of teamwork. So I think one of the biggest things that athletics has taught me is that a principle of cooperative spirit, cooperative energy, that I got to bring something to the table. And what I bring to the table is uniquely different from anybody else. And that in that, I have to be able to stay in my own lane and be in my own lane, understanding that when leadership comes, everybody has to play a role in it. And that at certain different times, I can just be the passenger, and I ain't got no problem with that. But there's going to be a time when you have to be the driver and be willing to step up and do what you need to do, and then, hand it over to somebody else.
Well, I'm looking for to see if Richie's is going to the championship. I know it's too early to talk
Wow.
about that. No pressure.
But
No pressure.
But honestly speaking, and that's one of the first talks when I had with the team after I got named to the job, was that the importance of goal setting, and that everything begins with a thought, and the thought has to be champion. That has to be in your consciousness, has to be in what you're thinking about, what you're eating, what you're sleeping. That you have to. It's a dream, but it's an attainable dream, and
Yes, it is.
within the context of that is how hard do we want to work to make our individual skills better. Me as a coach have to be able to put you in a system that's quality and can blend which each of you have uniquely together, but it's all based upon defense, and that's my mindset, is that it's hard work, and that's how you bring everybody together, is on the defensive end, that we're gonna get down and play as hard as we possibly can, and then we'll come together as a team.
Perfect. Well, I was going to I couldn't have you on the show and not touch on what's going on with Kaepernick, the NFL player with the 49ers, who his own way of protesting injustice for Black and brown people is kneeling during the anthem. So what are your thoughts on that?
I applaud him. I support him from afar. I understand the importance of what he's doing, and that as you come through this thing, you come about it at different times. Not everyone is blessed to get the teachings or research that he's had in his life. But also, I feel great that, it's creating a buzz within that arena that needs to be talked about, and it needs to be discussed, because the NBA season is coming. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the situation. He's been able to kind of foster energy across the league, where it first started with him, and I think last weekend it was maybe 6 to 7 to 8 players that are in protest with him, and oftentimes I don't really want to call it protest, because it's an honest,
having a stand.
It's an honest reflection of how you feel,
right?
And I think the beautiful part of being where we are in this country is that it lends itself to you being able to stand up and speak on what you feel, but often there's ramifications to that.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the solutions that we have to come up with, is when brothers and sisters stand up and speak out and often sacrifice their careers for this, we have to have a blanket where they can come back to
fall safely.
Exactly. And that's the part that hasn't happened in our past. And hopefully we have become more mature in our stance as a people and as athletes and entertainers, of realization that I'm not here in a vacuum. And I think oftentimes we feel like I'm different than the young brother or sister that I grew up with, but it's not that. It's just that you've been blessed to get a chance to expose your talents and be paid handsomely for them. So it doesn't mean that you're not conscious about the love that you have for your people, and you want to show that. So I applaud that brother, and I hope and realize that right now is his time of leadership in the light, even to the point where me and my son was talking about how after this it'll be the NFL will come up with the Kaepernick rule. You know what I'm saying? That this brother goes from being almost an obscure figure to being that one word figure. Tiger, MJ, Kobe. Now it's going to be Kaepernick. That when you say Kaepernick, everybody understands that you're talking what you're talking about.
Well, I applaud him, because you have to stand up for what you believe in. Mm-hmm. If you don't make a stand, you're going to fall for anything.
Absolutely.
And right now, Black people can't. We have to start making a stand. So he's not only affecting professionals, NBA and NFL, young black men are looking at him too,
Let me totally.
and picking this up. You know, you have to stand for something, or you're gonna fall for anything.
So I'm gonna tell you about a situation that happened in Springfield, Ohio. So it was Jersey Day. Wear your favorite jersey, football jersey day to work. Young man, 16 years old, came to work and he had on Kaepernick jersey. A customer complained and said that she would not shop, or the individual said they would not shop at the store if he does not take the jersey off.
Wow.
So, of course, he was approached by leadership and asked him to go home to change clothes. Well, of course, being 16 years old, he has a mother and a black mother.
It came up there.
So they had to apologize. They apologized eventually. But once again, it's supposed to be freedom of speech, and we should have that opportunity. But when you don't,
and respect me for what I believe in,
and that's powerful on the basis, on just on the face of it. The reality is that ingrained racist actions are so in the forefront, even unconsciously in the subconscious of that person that came in that store would not consider herself or himself, whoever it was, consider himself not a even keeled person or common sense. But when you stop and you look at just the ignorance of racism, the ignorance of someone to be able to go in and say you got to change your clothes because that's going to have some impact on what I buy, it's ludicrous. And that's how crazy it is now, is that it's to a point where those people who object to what Colin Kaepernick is doing have not really looked at themselves in the mirror on a history basis to really see the historical base of where he's coming from, and that we have never tasted liberty or justice in this country. So when I hear us speak to the issues, that it's time that we stand for it and we stand up to see how much justice we can get. So it's a good thing.
Okay, let's talk about, you talked about earlier, sacrifice.
Yes.
So do you think in regards to Kaepernick that he will eventually pay?
He's paying already. He's paying already. When you think in terms of his ability to brand himself now as a quality quarterback in the NFL, whether it be through Nike, whether it be Gatorade, whether it be Snickers, whether it be whatever, those opportunities have shrunken, I'm sure. Likewise, the ability to know that if you stand on this principle, there's a possibility that you'll get cut at the end of the season. And the people have to realize that ownership has no problem with swallowing a $100 million contract. They have no problem with, especially if they feel that this can be detrimental to their locker room. So the locker room politician or the locker room lawyer, that's what they're considering him now. So, you know, he doesn't have to go in and say a word. Just the fact that he has an afro and a beard speaks volumes just on the visual end of it. So it's sacrifices have to be made. And I think from the standpoint, it's like, okay, we have a sacrifice at that level on a NFL $20 million level. Then we have the sacrifice that has to be made on this mailman level. What sacrifice do we have to make that I'm an engineer at Union Pacific Railroad? Well, am I willing to make that same sacrifice and put my neck on the line, whether it be me going to job and speak forthrightly to stuff that I know that's wrong, or whether it be me protest on the weekends? And that's what we were speaking about, that sometimes our protests take the amount of time that hobbies take in the minds of others. So we don't put the amount of time in to get the results that we really want out of it. And our liberation and our justice cannot be gotten on weekends. It can be gotten at town hall meetings. It has to be a 24/7, 365-day situation, and that's the sacrifice of it to me.
But this is all, just listening to you guys, this is all kind of crazy to me, because our constitutional rights guarantees us.
Can I say one thing? and not and so I want us to, and when I say that, I say that in genuine sense, because I think we have to realize that don't apply to us.
True, but just okay, whatever it is. But I would want someone on my team
Mhm.
who is going to stand up for themselves. Who if okay, I'm going to use me and the boss lady right here.
Mhm.
She's going to tell me, Vicky, I don't think that's a good idea, and she's going to tell me why that is not a good idea.
Right.
And on the same term, I'm going to say, well, you know what? I will agree with you on how you feel,
Mhm.
because that's how you feel.
Right.
But let me share with you how I feel about the situation.
Exactly.
And we're going to respect each other's opinion, and we're going to move forward in the middle somewhere.
Mhm.
So I'm, in a way, I'm looking at this. You're telling me, on one hand, I have a right to stand up for what I believe in. When you get a enormous reaction from people, whether it's good or bad, determines if you'll let me stand up for what I believe in. This is what's going on, right?
No question.
That's what I'm getting.
No question.
So if I get people saying that no, he shouldn't do that, regardless of how I feel, because you already told me that I have a right to feel the way that I feel. But if these people over here say no, I gotta stop feeling the way that I'm feeling.
And that's the part that's cold, is that the powers that control whether or not a player gets cut are the same powers that control those masses. So when you think of NFL, you got to think of CNN and ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So if NFL starts to speak in righteous context, how profitable is that? Because we have to realize who's sitting in these corporate chambers who are saying and giving the check to this is cool, that's cool, and this is cool. So as we sit here and we think about it, you can stand up, but understand the ramifications if you
That's
stand
gonna come
up.
behind
That's
it.
going to come behind it. That had you been under that constitutional situation, that ain't going to come your way. Because we have to and be honest with ourselves that the Constitution was for white people.
Yes, it was.
And in that, do I expect them to do something for me? To what degree? Now, in saying that, we going to work for them tomorrow. We're going to work for them.
True.
At which point in time is the sacrifice going to come when it hit them like the same way? And I'm saying the only thing that corporate America understands is their bottom line. That when their bottom line is hit, when their bottom line is hit, so once we start to hit their bottom line, we can start to stand on what we believe in. But until that, it ain't gonna, I don't see, and this is what I love about where we are right now, is divine inheritance coming. So it's not me being any type of down about, no downer in this at all. It's all on the positive. It's all one. It's love, like I was just talking about. And then the love of that is knowing that the sacrifices that your ancestors and my ancestors made, we're in the blessing of it. We're getting ready to receive it. And in that reception of it is the vehicle this is part of that vehicle that has to be built, so that when Colin Kaepernick or Derrick Rose or D Wade wants to stand up in our community, they have a group like Divas and the Riches and Operation Unite, which is my organization, that's going to back them so that we can give them speaking fees and help them keep their lights on, help them take care of the necessity bills. Maybe not to the magnitude that you are used to getting, but we have to show that we are
united
and thankful.
Well,
And thankful and that's the biggest thing for me. That was it hurt me because I grew up in the movement and I love black people, is that when I took a stand on our behalf, that I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel, and not that, and my little ego don't mean, but if it was someone else, when I look at how Dr. King, we sat with his wife before she passed, and she said how much it hurt her that the only reason his center was open was the people that murdered him were the same people that are in the foundations that are funding him. And that killed
Wow.
me. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in our sacrifice, now you, like you were saying, now you're ready to, oh, what he was standing for was great, but he's not here to talk about it anymore
Right.
because you assassinated him. So, but we love their leadership, but this is live and active leadership. So it's going to be hard for us to, and that's the biggest thing, is that we got enough within our family and our community to take care of this thing. Now it's just a matter of, are we willing to sacrifice on this local level, on the daily level, to make this happen?
Right. Touch on your book, Long Shot: The Struggles and Triumphs of an NBA Freedom Fighter.
Well, it was a long time in coming. I love to write. I've been writing since I was probably 5th grade. My aunt taught me that I have to be able to express myself on paper as well as to come across in an articulate manner so people can feel where you're coming from. So for me, it was always writing. Like right now, I feel like probably have at least 10 books that I've written already. So a lot of stuff that's coming through now, I've already written about. So the book came about by just me going online and seeing how many people had speculation about why my career was what it was and why I went to the White House the way I did. People saying I was a black militant, I've never shot a gun in my life. I don't own a weapon. So from that standpoint, that was crazy to me when people are basically
Stereotyping you.
Yes, and putting you in this box and saying, so I said, hey man, it's time for me to speak about my life from a standpoint that I could leave a legacy for my 4 boys and my grandbabies. That, yeah, that's might be what they say, but let's see what Pop said about it. So from that standpoint, it was something that I've been wanting to do and I should have done a long time ago, but everything is in divine time, and I'm patient enough to realize that. So the book will be out December 20th is the release date, but we'll be sending out what they call galleys, early editions for, New York Times and different organizations that have asked for it. So it's funny to me that, we talk, not funny that from the standpoint that 600 people were murdered at the point when I wrote my letter to Bush, October 1st, 1991. And to think up to this Labor Day, 500 have been murdered. So we're on course for that. But I say that to say that had we really dug into the issues in 91, when I was asking brothers and sisters who were at the height of their power and influence, let's get with this thing in the city of Chicago. I went to Oprah. I talked to MJ. And that's the thing to me that I don't like the deception that happens to my people from those who are in positions of power. And that's why it's considered the triumphs and struggles, because the struggles are trying to get through to your people who have the opportunity and the ability to change the condition of our least overnight. And that's why I wrote the book, to utilize it as a vehicle, and probably more than 70% of it will be reacclimated into the community, any resources that come from it. So it's not anything from a personal standpoint of I'm trying to brand myself from this book. No, it's about telling the truth about what happened my last couple years in the league and the impact of it, and that nobody should have to sacrifice what your livelihood, what your God-given talent is, whether you're a newsman or whether you're a cameraman. That just because what you believe away from your job should not affect what you do and the quality you bring to it.
Awesome. And your co-author.
Right. Roy Fannin, is his story alone. He was a U.S. Army guy. He was in the same battalion with Pat Tillman, who was a former football player who left football to go to Iraq and fight. Got killed by friendly fire in Iraq. Roy was a conscientious objector to the war. So when Pat was killed, they let him out. And when he came out, he was came back to Chicago. He said he was caught in a mental bind because he felt guilty for all the people they had killed, but at the same time, he couldn't come to grips with his brothers who were still in Iraq fighting. So he flew to Virginia and walked from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean and wrote a book about it. And I couldn't put the book down. And he was one of the first really ghostwriters that I kind of spoke to about sitting down writing with me. And his vibe was authentic. It was almost as if I was talking to a brother, but he had white skin. So from that standpoint, he's a freedom fighter. And anybody that's a freedom fighter, whether you red, black, brown, yellow, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of the spirit and the energy of let's get this thing right and be right to one another and show genuine concern. Where, like I told him yesterday, we haven't really come from different environments, but the thing that's throughout it is a sense of being humble and a sense of doing the right thing about whatever unique situation you come about.
Rory Fanning, you're next. We're coming to get you.
Yeah, man.
We want you on Divas Den. Yes, and he is I have had the pleasure to meet with him, and he is a very nice guy. And I tell you, I follow him on Facebook, and he very interesting. He have lots to say, positive, and in the movement as well.
Right, and
he has his own style.
Right. And he has a
putting
thing,
it out there.
Veterans for Kaepernick, where he's gotten a group of veterans who have come behind Colin on this unique time. So it's a good time. And I think right now the energy is so much bigger than us that, and for me, that's why when we were talking and we were saying we're going to keep it simple Saturday, that's been my whole thing the last probably year and a half, is trying to keep things simple, trying not to be so meticulous and trying to plan, because it's a certain spiritual path that we have got to be still and listen to and let that guide us. So from that standpoint, I'm glad I wrote it when I did, because I haven't been doing as much writing lately, and it causes a writer's block. So from that standpoint, now it's time to speak. So that's where we are.
We all have our appointed times for expressing things that we find difficult for us. I'll say that.
Yep.
So everything is always in its due timing. So it may just be your time right now.
And that's the thing that I truly never bigger than the least of our people. So from that standpoint, I always say that it's our time, and that it's our time on so many levels, but we can't be fearful, and fear being either forced expectations appearing real or false information. So we right there. It's our time.
We have a lot of future leaders coming up and coming about, young leaders.
Yes.
Jedediah Brown.
Yes.
I think I got the name right. And some other ones, Lamont Record. I think he's about 16 or 17 years old. What kind of advice can you give these young brothers who's trying to become, or the generation trying to become the next leaders? Because honestly, personally, I feel that it is time for some new leadership, some
young blood,
some energetic,
that are just willing to go for what they. Most of our old leaders, they're laid back. They're real, we got these young guys, and these young guys are aggressive. That's what I like about them. They ready to attack, in a sense. They're ready to attack the situation. Whereas the leaders that I know, they talk, but these guys are showing action.
And once again, leader is cool, but at the same time, it's not cool, because it denotes that I can't think for myself. So from that standpoint, I think what we have going on now is we have a spiritual movement that's so much bigger than any one person, and it's pushing us in a situation and in a movement to a certain goal. It's a lot of different unique happenings going on. So we have Black Lives Matters. We have just the simple activists who are in the hood and have been in the hood. The energy is swelling to a point where it's almost like something got to go. the baby got to come or something going to happen.
Right. So we're in labor right now,
Right.
getting ready to deliver.
And the cool piece about it is that this generation, whether it be Black Lives Matter or whatever, this is a generation of fulfillment. They're unafraid. This is what our great grandparents were praying for. Is this generation of children. And this generation of children will not accept no garbage. So it can be, and it goes beyond. See, you could bamboozle us by a job and a college diploma. They see through that, and that's the cold piece about the evening of the playing field with the electronic media and the social media and the like, is that it's giving children a chance to research whatever it is they're talking about. So whether it be Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, and we want to try to mask them with that, they ain't listening to that. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear on this day-to-day level, how you gonna help me, how you gonna enhance me, and how you gonna enhance my people. And that's what I love about them, is that they're not taking no for an answer. They're not taking that we can't do it. They on a vibration that it's ours to have, and they're not gonna give it to us. So we gotta take it. I just suggest that in young energy and in young movement and coming together and congregating together, make sure that you organize yourselves without a notion that violence is the way of getting it done, and that that's not going to get it done. That this is peace, and that the only way we can show the God that is giving us this, that it can only come through a peaceful manner, and that ours is one that we protected. This is protected, and it's beyond even our comprehension of how protected we are. So a lot of this madness that we see going on in our community is coming from a spiritual outside force that understands that this is that we're at spiritual war, and that we have to come together, and it'll happen overnight when it really does. So it's going to come like a thief in the night, like we've been told. We just have to be patient and do our day-to-day tasks to make sure that we are part of the foundation of it.
All right. Well, we are wrapping up. Is there anything you have for the people to Diva before we end our show today?
The man just already said it's gonna come like a thief in the night. I'm good with that. That was really deep. I'm good with that.
Well, listeners, thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. We are glad and thankful to have Craig Hodges back with us, the retired NBA player, three-point shooter, still shooting lights out, author of Long Shots, and his book will be out December the 20th is the release date. It will be on Amazon. It'll be in stores. Keep an eye out for it. I think you can actually pre-order it on Amazon.
No doubt. And make sure you come out to Rich East and check out the young brothers that we work with. They need your support. And, you know, it takes a village. And I think the biggest part of confidence for any young person is to know that people care.
Definitely. I will be there. And we're looking for that championship. I know it's doable. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on Intellectual Radio. I am the Boss Lady, and we have the Diva, and we will see you next month, third Saturday at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Feed your mom
and get your brain
right.
I even got your favorite movie, baby, but we won't be watching it. And you ain't gotta do nothing. The kids at your mama's house. And I got a big surprise for you. Can't wait to see you scream and shout. You're gonna love it. Oh yeah. Baby, you're gonna love it. Oh yeah.